Every day, we receive dozens of pieces of suspension, and too large a percentage of them are packaged incorrectly. This leads to damages, delays, and potentially cost you money. Hi everybody, I'm Addison here with S4, and today I'm going to show you how to package your suspension to send to us. That time of the season has come, and now you need to send your suspension off to us at S4 to get it serviced. What do you need to do that job properly? Well, you're gonna need a couple boxes. We got a big fork box for the fork, a smaller one for your dropper, and an even smaller one for your shock. Most local bike shops are gonna have these just laying around. They'll probably give them to you. Or you can always make your own. You can jump on the internet and there's plenty of videos how to do that. We're gonna need some bubble wrap to keep things safe, some good heavy duty tape for the outside of the box, a rag to keep things clean, packaging material to stuff the box full of. Can't forget a marker to write on the box, and some lighter duty tape. Lighter duty tape is going to be crucial, and I'll show you why just a little bit later. Alright, now that we got everything we need, let's clear some space and start with the fork. Did I need to make that big mess? No, probably not, but all in the interest of good fun and showmanship. Now, first step, take this rag and clean your fork. Because a clean fork is a happy mechanic, and a happy mechanic is a giving mechanic. While, yes, the service, no matter what, if your fork is dirty or clean, the service is going to be the same either way. It's going to be top-notch, top-tier. But a clean mechanic is happy in giving, and you may see an increase in delectable treats coming back to you afterwards. Next up, now that that's nice and clean, go ahead and make sure you remove any small parts from your fork. That's fenders, that's brake mount bolts. Anything that could potentially get lost in the process should come off the fork. Axles are okay, leave your axle in if you feel like it. Actually, please do, because it makes the fork a little more rigid. Do not over tighten it without the wheel in it. That can cause damage, and you don't want that to happen. Simply just put it in finger tight. If you have bleeders like I do on my fork, please put the caps back in so they don't leak oil in shipping. Just finger tight's fine, nice and snug, and we are ready to wrap it up. Nice clean fork, nothing's gonna fall off, nothing's gonna get lost. So, set your fender, set your bolts, set any little small parts you have aside in a safe place that you could potentially forget about in a week and a half when you get your fork back. But all the way to the bottom, this is where your light duty masking tape is gonna come into play. The reason I say this lighter duty tape, not duct tape, is because it won't leave tape residue all over your fork. And please, for the love of me, for the love of all our mechanics, do not tape on your stanchion. Only on the lowers, the crown, or the steer tube. Do not tape on the stanchions because that could cause problems. Then we're gonna roll, and that's enough right there. It doesn't need to be a ton. Got it. How I like to do it, you can just take this tape here, all the way around the back, snug, and one more layer over. Doesn't need to be a ton of tape. Take this excess here, all the floppy bit, flip it over the top, and then you've got a nice sturdy bed for the fork to lay on. Oh, and there we've got a packaged fork. First things first, we're going to lay our fork inside the box as such. Now, this is where you can get a bit creative and have some fun. You can put rags in there if you have extra rags. Put some bubble wrap in there if you've got extra bubble wrap, like this cardboard paper stuff, kind of like you're filling a present. Dump a bag of popcorn in there. Really anything works actually, as long as it's soft and takes up all the extra space in the box. That's a joke. Please, 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 please do not actually send your fork with popcorn in it. While it sounds like a delicious idea, one, it's not super protective, but also you'll probably have some rodents jump into your box along the way, and we don't want to get them in the shop. So please, it's a joke. Iron Blag, do not send with popcorn, although it is quite tasty. Okay, yeah, that's better. We've got it filled up with stuff that's not going to attract rodents and also keep your mechanics clean because, as I said earlier, a clean mechanic is a happy giving mechanic. So, we're good here. Let's close this thing up. All the extra space is taken care of. Oof. You want a box that is going to lie closed all on its own. You don't want to have to force it closed. So, if it won't naturally lay closed like this box will here, you need to take some material out. You've probably got too much material. If it's sitting way up like this and all bulging, it's probably too much packing material and it's gonna end up doing damage to the box. So a box that closes very nicely, nice and smooth. After that, run 3 lines of tape. Boom. Tape is nice and seated. Just like that, your fork is neatly and safely packaged and ready to hit the road. All right, for our shock, we need, of course, our shock, a box, tape, some packaging material, tape, marker, and a rag. First things first, same as the fork, we're gonna clean this thing off. Just a nice general wiping. One thing I neglected to mention earlier is you're gonna want some zip ties. Reason why? You got your mounting hardware here on mine. One side's bearings, the other side is a TCA. You're gonna wanna run a zip tie through those. The reason you wanna run a zip tie through those is because they could potentially fall off in transport. And you don't want that to happen. Afterwards, trim up your zip tie, ka-chow, and now we're ready to package. Got it. Middle of the bubble wrap. And imagine these are presents. Presents for us. And then we'll clean it, we'll service it, and we'll give the presents back to you. One little piece of light duty tape. And again, no tape on the stanchion. That's gonna be the shiny, slidey bit right here. You can do it on the air can, just don't do it on the slidey part. More tape. What this bubble wrap is doing, preventing your shock or your fork from getting damaged in transportation because these things go through warehouses with hot, overworked people that don't really care about your package. So we want to do everything we can to prevent them from getting damaged. And that's why we give it a big, generous helping of bubble wrap. Boom, shock, wrapped. The nice thing about a shock specific box is it's, well, almost exactly the right size. It can be a little bit bigger, but I wouldn't go much smaller than what it is here because you want extra space for all this good packing material. Just enough to where the shock is not going to be moving or bouncing around during transport. Same as your fork, you're going to want a box that lies closed naturally. It's not trying to open itself up because that means it's overpacked a little bit. Take a little bit of packing material out and then try again. Now we tape it. If not, there we go. Shock packed. Okay, so the process on our last piece is going to be slightly different depending if you've already removed your saddle or not. We are going to need a box, tape, other tape, Allen key, rag. First things first with our dropper post, we need to remove this saddle. By now, you should have already found the angle of your saddle so that way you can put it back in the right location after it's done being serviced. You'll want to do that when it's on the bike. Much simpler. Most of the time it's going to require a 4, a 5, or a 6 millimeter Allen key. Sometimes there's 2, sometimes there's 1, sometimes there's even 3 bolts. But take that off, set all of your small parts aside so you don't lose them. After your saddle's removed, leave that hardware off, just keep it at home with you. We have no use for it in the shop. Wipe off your dropper. Cleanliness is key. For this one, I've got to actually make my box. For your dropper, depending on the size of your box, you may need to compress this down. You'll do that by depressing this actuation lever here and then just pushing down on the head of the seat post. Let go of the actuation lever and that will hold your seat post nice and compact like that. And it's ready to go in the box. We'll stuff this box full of some packing material, same as we did with the fork and the shock. And just like that, all 3 pieces are packaged. Now it's time for labeling. Labeling is going to be an important step that makes everything a little bit more efficient, which means your suspension gets back to you and you're on your bike sooner. For this one, we've got our fork number FK37402. We're also going to put Rush on here. If you're expecting Rush service, please put Rush on the outside of the box in big bold letters. That way, we know as soon as it walks through the door, it's a Rush project and we can get it in and out and on its way as quick as possible. Although, if you write Rush on the outside of your box and you haven't paid for the Rush service, your suspension's gonna fall to the back of the line for being a poor sport. I'm watching you. Now I've showed you how to package everything individually, but what do you do if you have multiple pieces? Well, you're gonna wanna put them all in the same box. Doesn't matter if it's 2, 4, 10 pieces. All of them should go in the same box. It's gonna save you on shipping, and it's gonna make it easier for us to keep track of. I'll show you how to do that. It's very simple. You're gonna start by pre-wrapping your dropper and your shock, or any of the smaller pieces you're shipping. Then, I like to flip my fork over so the bridge side is down, because you're going to use the space or the crevice between the stanchion and the lowers as a bed for your parts. Next, we'll wrap our bubble wrap across so it covers the entire distance between the stanchions and the lowers. Then, I like to start with my dropper post, put it right up against the crown, and lay it in between the legs. Then, your shock is going to go on top of that. Next, pull your bubble wrap back across, and then we can begin to tape. Same as before, all the way around with the tape, but this time we're gonna put multiple strips of tape. Because we have a little bit more weight in there, we want to add a little bit more support. Whoopsies. Now fold this floppy bit back across to protect the base of the lowers. And then we're going to wrap a nice big bubble around the end of the steer tube and tape it tight. That will hopefully prevent the steer tube from punching through the box because the steer tube's kind of small. You've got all your pieces nicely and safely packaged together. Voila! Because we packaged all 3 pieces in such a compact area, we're able to just lay it right in our box. Fill this box up. Woo! Same process as before. Now all of your pieces are in one easy to manage and cheap to ship box. Next thing we need to do is put our work order numbers on the outside of the box. Yes, we want to put all of the work orders that are inside of the box on the outside of the box, so we know exactly what's going on with it when it walks through the door. So we're going to add our fork work order, our seat post work order, and our shock work order number here on the outside of the box. This is going to make it easy for our shipping department to determine what's going on. So we got 3 work orders, and don't forget, if you're getting Rush on the outside of the box. That was a bad location. But make sure you write Rush on the outside of the box. That way we know it's a Rush job. Now your parts are well packaged and your box is labeled. Next thing we need to do is refer to the work order email that you received from us. It's going to have all of your instructions on how to label your box for shipping. Sometimes the carrier will bring it to you, sometimes you need to print it out. But refer to the email that we sent you about the work order and it will tell you all the information you need to know. And now you know how to properly package your suspension to avoid damage and delays, so we can get it back to you as quick as possible and get you back on the trail. Thank you as always for letting us make your ride smoother. I'm gonna go eat the rest of this popcorn now.